What is going on, guys? Technology can be such a bugger. Like, it's great when it works, and it's also great when you're not an idiot. So I started this stream over on my other channel, and then I realized it's like no one knew what I was talking about because that wasn't the Time Teller channel. So we got a loaded show for you today. And by the way, I do a live stream every day on this channel, the Time Teller channel, unless I'm releasing a video. So yesterday I didn't stream because I did a review. Today I'm not doing a review, so I am here live. But what confused me is I have to switch through two different channels to do my daily shows. And speaking of, I do a daily show every day over on my podcasting channel, which is a silly little channel where I kind of don't bite my tongue, and at the same time I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek, and it's controversial, and there's a whole Patreon associated with that. But we speak about things that I definitely cannot talk about here on the Time Teller channel. So again, guys, I really do appreciate you interacting with the chat. I know that I'm streaming, at 9:55 a.m. Let's get down to business on a Tuesday, so not everyone's going to be able to join me, but if you could join me live, again, we do a daily show Monday through Friday here, and I'd love to see you live. And again, if it's a penny or a pound, those super chats are how I pay my bills, so I really do appreciate the support. So keep them coming, and you will contribute to the swear jar and to the 1016 fund. Okay, guys, so loaded show. We're going to piggyback off of yesterday's episode where we talk about some Casios that are so bizarre. I don't know why anyone would ever buy them or what use people have for them. The next thing we're going to talk about is Richemont, Richemont Group, one of the, I'll say, powerhouses when it comes to horological holding groups. There's some shakeups there, but that's not surprising because they've been changing things around and scrambling pretty much for the last, 3 years, maybe 5 years. Ever since the pandemic, things have been pretty bad. But we'll talk about that. And then I'm going to explain to you exactly why Breitling is probably one of the best watchmakers out right now. They are smart, they are incredible, and they are doing no wrong. And they should pay me because that is a damn good seal of approval from the Time Teller. And I did that for free. Okay. But also, finally, we're going to do a goodbye with a citizen that everyone's been asking me about. So let's go ahead and jump into the first little bit. I think we take for granted just how cool and just how much effort went into getting us the technology that we have day to day. Okay, so when I share my screen here, you can see some weird, colorful watches that you may or may not have ever heard of. We mentioned this one, actually, yesterday. This is a Casio MP3 watch that wasn't super well received at the time, and it's because the technology wasn't really there. But it's cool, and it is, I suppose, cutting edge and ahead of its time. This was like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. But here's the crazy thing, okay? When I think back at these Casios that we're going to talk about, and I think of how silly they are. Like, even with Seikos, you go back to the Seiko TV watch, and it's like, who would ever buy that thinking that you could actually watch TV with it? Dude, it reminds me of back, this must again have been in the late 90s, when my dad got a Palm Pilot, and he spent like $1 bajillion on it. And he was like, this is the future. I don't think he ever used it, actually. Like, he put some phone numbers in it, and I think he took some notes, like, with it. And then it was just on his desk collecting dust. I remember it had a stylus. And he's like, look, you can kind of draw with it. But there was so much latency that, like, and again, it was black and white. So it's not like it was operating any OS that could, handle actual graphics or anything. And it's insane because now, this thing we have in our pockets, our cell phones, has more processing power than most of the technology that we've been using for the last 4 decades. So when we have things so incredible, like, dude, this setup that I'm using to stream right now, the fact that I can go here, and then with a flick of a button, I can go to my other channel. Welcome to the Everything is Gay podcast. Just kidding, we're not doing that stream yet. But it's like, it's crazy that we can do all of these things with these graphics here on the side. There's an anime girl over here with big boobies wearing a watch. And then there's all these, you can see my social medias. You can become a channel member. It says that it's live up there. And it tells you to send me super chats. Give me $1. Come on, give me $1. But we take for granted all the efforts that these companies have made to try to give us cool, innovative products. So that puts things in perspective, so I'm not going to be too harsh. But when we do look at these watches, we can see that MP3 watch is a little silly, but this is even weirder. Okay, this is the Casio Thermo Scanner. Who would ever use this? I don't know. It picks up heat signatures based on an IR receptor. Like the only thing, okay, so it says snow others. So here's what I think. It's potentially for when you're skiing and someone like gets caught in an avalanche and you need to like scan for them. This is supposedly supposed to pick up their heat signature so you know where to dig. I don't know how effective it was. I know that this is one of the first time. I think I've seen one once before, but not in person. So if any of you have any experience with this, or you know what it could be used for, like what an actual application would be outside of, again, very niche. Sorry for the mic noises. Aside from very niche things like, an avalanche, you tell me, because I have no idea. But I thought it was cool. And this isn't even the weirdest one. There's, okay, shout out Watch Crunch for this, by the way. One of the weirdest ones, which makes me think, like, why? I understand it's cool and kind of like high-tech Jetsons stuff. We go over here, okay? And I don't know anything, The Verge, I don't know anything about the guy who wrote this, Sam Byford or anything. This was written back in 2015 at 3 a.m. Bro, what are you doing, man? Get some rest. Jeez. The original smartwatches, Casio's history of wild wrist designs. Okay, you see these, it looks like a calculator watch or like a data bank, which is, we've seen a million of these, right? Casio's known for this type of stuff. But then you see some buttons here and it says TV volume, TV video, power. And you see a red kind of display here, like a little window. You see that same red window here. Man, I was born in 89. If you grew up in the 90s or like before, you have distinct memories of this little red window in things. When you saw this little red window, you knew you were going to have a blast because it was going to do something crazy, right? It's an infrared receptor. It's a remote. It's just a remote control. Pretty rudimentary, my dear Watson. These were literal Casio watches that just changed the channel of your television. So I get why it might have been cool to think of you just kicking back. Like, you're just kicking back. You're in your partially finished basement. It's the late 90s. So it's probably still like a 1970s-ish basement. So there's like brown shag carpeting and like orange fixtures. It's like brown and orange. It's like everything looked like a kind of old, messed up rundown Pizza Hut. I don't know why that was the aesthetic, but I have like specific memories of hanging out in those types of basements. You guys know what I'm talking about, the weird wood paneling with the shag carpets, and there's a lot of like browns and oranges, whatever. You're sitting there playing Super Nintendo, and then you're like, actually, I want to watch a show, whatever show you would, I want to watch He-Man. So you're like, boop, and you press a button, and it changes inputs. And then your mom's like, hey, your pizza rolls are ready. And you're like, oh, dang. Beep, and you press a button, and you turn the TV off. Just with the flick of the wrist. That must sound pretty cool, right? Again, these were not well received. No pun intended. Reception. Probably because they no one really had use for them. And then they took it a step further. Casio took it a step way further, actually. With these huge mamma jammas. Look at this thing, dude. What is that? So this is the Game Watch. It's an anime weapon on your wrist. Mid-1980s to the 1990s. Casio is putting out some interesting, innovative stuff. That's, to say the least. This is on Watch You Seek. The Casio JG. Jory Goodman, just kidding. Jog and Game. It essentially had one of those receivers, and you could control your TV with it. So I had all the functions of that other one that we took a look at, but also had infrared messaging that you could like send to other kids that had this watch. And there was some native game called Dungeons and Demons. So as not to get sued by Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Demons. And you can play a game with other people that have the watch. This didn't do well. Probably because it's a multiplayer game predicated on you being in close proximity with other people who have to have this watch. So it's like the numbers aren't great, right? It's not like playing a mobile game on your cell phone, on your smartphone, where everyone has a smartphone. Not everyone's going to have one of these Casio JGs. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I just think that yesterday's video, where we spoke about if Casio is God tier or not, kind of opened up a can of worms because people were, I don't know. I think it was definitely skewed one-sided. Everyone enjoyed I think everyone pretty much agreed Casio is God tier. However, I do want to show you that they did make a bunch of weird stuff, and we're probably only scratching the surface here. They've been around since 1946. But we should have some perspective that, of course, they're going to have some weird stuff, because to get to where they are now, they had to try a bunch. And I think there may be a lesson there that, consistency isn't this. Everyone thinks consistency is a flat line. That's not what it is. Consistency is a bunch of peaks and dips, peaks and valleys. But as long as you are moving, that is what is consistent. And Casio, at minimum, has been consistent. You know who hasn't been consistent, though? Moving on to the next story. Richemont Group. We love Richemont. Of course, Panerai. So, Richemont's Emmanuel Perrin to take over as CEO of Panerai, exiting role as head of specialist watchmakers. So, used to be the head of specialist watchmakers. Now he's going to be CEO of Panerai. Why are they doing all these shakeups? This isn't the first thing that Richemont has done. They've been shifting. Remember, we spoke about this, I believe, beginning of 2024. They were shifting and moving around CEOs and different executive positions. And I suppose this isn't strange for large companies, right? But this is interesting because Panerai specifically, and well, Richemont as a whole, but Panerai specifically, has been having issues. They've been having issues since like before the pandemic. But the most interesting, people want to talk about this guy and his, experience and his resume, and he's a very qualified person, I'm sure. And he makes much more money in 1 quarter than I will in my life. But that's not what's interesting to me. What's interesting to me is how badly Panerai has been doing. Because I complain about them and people say I'm a hater. I have a Panerai. Now, it is pre-sandwich style Panerai, which is pretty much the only Panerai you should buy. Unless we're talking about the current submersibles and stuff like that, the more modern submersibles. Those are great. Find a Bronzo, sell your kidney, and call it a day. Panerai produced about 55,000 watches and posted revenue of about 493 million Swiss francs in 2024, down from 520 million Swiss francs in 2023. That's not great. So no wonder they're like, yeah, we lost a lot of money last year, so we're going to go ahead and get a new CEO. I don't know what changes will be made, but hopefully they will have less mess-ups that I complain about a lot of things because their mess-ups are very apparent. So hopefully they will have less things that I can complain about here, so that hopefully in the near future I can put one of these shows up and say, hey, Panerai is great. And they've fixed themselves. Kind of like what I have done with Tudor. Okay, so that was kind of negative. We went positive and inspirational to kind of negative, and we're going to go back to positive. Okay? Because I think Breitling is the best watchmaker right now and going into 2026. Here's why. Breitling has acquired Gallet. For those of you who don't know, I'm a vintage nut, and Gallet makes some of the, made some of the coolest chronographs, okay? This is a great photo, by the way, Hodinky. Can we get a brava to Hodinky for putting out actually some decent content ever since Ben kind of took the helm back? Gallet made some awesome chronographs, and no matter how much they age, they just keep looking great. This is a defunct brand until now. Breitling, who's also known for chronographs, has said that they are going to relaunch this formerly defunct, essentially, chronograph watchmaker. I'm super excited about this because I think that this is a way to not only celebrate celebrate the past and recognize the past, but it's a way to introduce these very cool watchmakers to modern collectors. Not everyone is a geek, dude. Not everyone is a borderline autistic weirdo that has to know, like, every weird, like, niche wormhole. Like, I had a problem when I like first started getting into watch collecting. It's like I had to learn everything. And I don't think it's really slowed down. I still have the power. I've just learned how to harness it. So I think that this is an incredibly good move from Breitling. Breitling makes incredible watches already. They're a great brand, and they are known for chronographs. They have a history of chronographs, and them taking over Gallet and bringing it back is awesome. That is a net positive for the watch world, and for us vintage collectors, I feel vindicated because I've always said this is one of my favorite watchmakers, and they are coming back, baby. But we're not done with the winning. Because remember, Breitling, well, the ownership of Breitling, so essentially Breitling, acquired Universal Genève. another formerly defunct watchmaker who was my favorite. Everyone wants to talk about the Royal Oak. Everyone wants to talk about the IWC Engineer. Everyone wants to talk about the Nautilus. No one wants to talk about what was probably Genta's first big banger. Gerald Genta made the pole router. Micro rotor? Anyone micro rotor? Hello, one of the coolest things to look at and gawk at. Gawk, gawk, gawk. That's what I want to do to Breitling right now, because they are bringing things back that the watch world needs. Good watches. And listen, this isn't like what Hollywood does, where Hollywood literally cannot produce anything new, so they have to keep just like redoing everything. That's not what they're doing here. These brands went away. They were dead. And I think Universal Genève was owned by like a Chinese holding group for like 2 decades or something, doing nothing. Now they're back, and we see Pole Router, dude, awesome. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can live in a world, I think this is happening in 2026, we can live in a world where we have well-made, modern Universal Genèves, Gallet watches, and Breitlings, and we are back, baby. We are freaking back. And I have to say frickin' because I'm on the Time Teller channel. But if you want to go to my other channel, my podcast, I say really bad words. Now, it is time to go over the goodbye or goodbye, where I choose watches that I, in my opinion, and what do I know? I'm just the time teller. That I think are either a good purchase or a bad purchase, depending on a few metrics. And hopefully, if you are here watching this, you trust my opinions, but I'm not always right. So sound off in the comment section and let me know. But one of the watches that's been asked pretty consistently in my comment section, I should say asked about, has been these ProMaster Fujitsubo. And I'm probably mispronouncing it, which is weird because I watch so much anime, I may as well be Japanese. The ProMaster Fujitsubo. Capturing the essence of exploration in the air, on land, or at sea, the ProMaster line celebrates its 35th anniversary, a professional-grade adventure with... what does it say? Where was I? Whatever. With the new limited edition series, this new ProMaster Dive Automatic joins the limited edition series, recalling the classic Citizen dive aesthetics with modern dive-ready technology. Okay, looks interesting, right? Very legible. One thing I really like immediately is how the serrations and the edge of the bezel has that really nice, what is that? Like kind of like teal blue? I don't really know if that's... I'm very bad with colors, probably because I'm partially colorblind, so maybe make your own decisions when it comes to colors and shades. But very legible, and again, they didn't mess up the date. The date is nicely bordered at the 3 o'clock. And then you start looking over here. 1,195 buckaroos. Why? This is a Citizen. Please don't Seiko my Citizen. By the way, things started shaking because my chubby cat just jumped up and needed to say hello. Can we get a shout out for Turtle the cat? Everyone's like, Turtle? Why did you name her Turtle? She's a cat. And I'm like, dude, I named her after the candy, the chocolate turtle, the decadent brown and black and caramel turtle, and then the insides of the almonds are white, and she has all those colors, and she's fat. By the way, I just realized that I was not sharing my screen with you guys. Thank you. Mostly harmless. So we have this watch here, the ProMaster Fujitsubo. We can see here I guess that's teal. Comes in a cool scuba tank case, which we've seen before on this channel. Pretty standard looking dive watch. But $1,195. That's kind of a sticking point for me. That's kind of a problem. I know what you're thinking. Okay, wait. Let's go down and look at the specifications. Okay? Automatic 9051 movement. What movement is this? Well, it's a Miyota. It's their premium Miyota, so it does have a 28,800 VPH sweep. That's good. Premium Miyota. Citizen owns Miyota. Of course, they're going to use one of their premier premium automatics when they're making their limited series, the Fujitsubos. And it's got a sapphire crystal. Of course it should be $1,100, right? Bracelet, super titanium with platinum DLC coating. Okay, 41 millimeters. A little bit oversized, but within that sweet spot. And then here, I kind of just said it. It's titanium. So people are like, you don't understand. They're using interesting materials. They're using a great movement. And it's a ProMaster. $1,195 is a good buy, right, time teller? Wrong! You freaking idiot! What are you? Some caveman that's never seen a watch in your life? Go over here, okay? Certina. I said one of the most underrated brands ever was Christopher Ward, and I think I was right. But people brought up, whoa, what about Certina? And I was like, yeah, you're right. Out of Swatch Group brands, Certina is incredibly underrated. I think even more underrated at this point than Mito, which is insane to say because no one even knows about the Mito Baroncelli, which is one of the best kind of just step above entry level dress watch. This is 38 millimeters. Even better than 41. It has a Powermatic 80. That is Swiss made with an 80-hour power reserve. That's better than the Miyota 9051. And shout out Teddy Baltazar, you can buy one brand new for $950. And no diss to Teddy, you can find them elsewhere for a little less. I just thought I'd help out my bro here. I'm sorry. This is a cool watch, dude. The Fujitsubo. Cool watch. But is it a good buy or a goodbye? Unfortunately, for that price tag with those specs, it's a goodbye. Because, dude, you can find, for less money, you can get a Swiss-made Certina in titanium with a Powermatic 80. And Fratello Watches is calling it a Tudor Pelagos killer. So, it is what it is, but Citizen, please, you've been doing so well. Please don't turn into Seiko. It's not worth it. There's a reason why the only coverage of Seikos for the last 2 years has been pretty consistently negative by most watch people. Most watch people you should even watch. Okay, so I don't know what you think, guys. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. But for those of you who have purchased this ProMaster Fujitsubo and want my opinion, it's your watch. You bought it for a reason. Don't feel bad about my opinion. However, it's only my opinion, okay? So you don't have to worry about it. And I'm just looking based on what else can I do but compare it to other options, right? So that's it. I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. And here's what I'll say, okay? When it comes to Citizen dive watches, I don't know if there's honestly any reason to get an automatic. They literally have the Eco Drive, which for a tool watch is objectively better. So when it comes to me thinking, okay, titanium, automatic, sapphire crystal. Oh wait, Certina has one with double the power reserve, Swiss made, titanium, better size for hundreds of dollars less. Sorry. But then also it's like, okay, ProMaster, Fujitsubo. Wait, there's another ProMaster, like a slew of non-limited ProMasters that have the Eco Drive for like $300. Just get the Eco Drive. But what do I know? This is just one idiot's opinion. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this stream, off the cuff, we do these shows daily, Monday through Friday, unless I upload a review, which I typically do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, please, hit that subscribe button, become a channel member, and I will see you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it. Love you guys, yeah, fingers crossed for Panerai. I don't know what's going to go, but fingers crossed.